Okay, grade 10s. In this video, I'll show you how to construct an ellipse using the 4 center method, and I'll also draw this figure here. Obviously, this figure is about the tangential arcs, so I'll just show you and explain the including and excluding arcs. So first, I'll start by constructing this ellipse right here. Okay, so from this figure, we are given the length of this ellipse, and we are also given the width of the ellipse. So this length is called the measure axis, and this width, this side or height, is called the measure axis. So step number one, I'll have to draw the center lines, obviously, and then after drawing the center lines, I'll try to construct a rectangle using the given measurements. So already I've drawn the center lines, the 2 center lines. Then after drawing the center lines, that means I'll have to draw a rectangle in light construction using the 2 given measurements. So the length is 110. So obviously I'll divide this by 2. So that means as 55. So I'll mark off 55 to the left, 55 to the right. So I'll just take my ruler and measure 55 there, mark a point. 55 this side, mark a point. Then from those 2 points I can just draw 2 vertical lines like that. Okay, and then the width is 70, so 70 divided by 2 is 35. So I'll mark off 35 going up from the center point, 35 going down right there. Okay, then from those 2 points I can just draw horizontal lines in light construction like that. Okay, so now I have my rectangle. So that means this ellipse will fit in into this shape, this rectangle. So obviously the ellipse must be within this rectangle over here. So if you check here, I have some lines. Why do I have these lines? I've just added these lines just to explain something. So because this is a 4 center method, so obviously we must have 4 center points, right? So those center points, this is the first one, this is the second one, third one, and the fourth one. So these are the center points. We use obviously the center points to draw the arcs of this ellipse. So obviously for this arc this side, that means I'll put my compass on that point to draw that arc, and then I'll put my compass on that point there to draw that arc up there. And also obviously for this arc I'll put my compass there, and then for this part of the ellipse here, that means I'll put my compass up there. So for us to draw this ellipse, that means we must have these 4 points. These are the center points of this arcs, right? Okay, so obviously I don't have these lines right now, so I'll have to do some constructions for me to get these lines, right? Okay, so I'll just show you now. I'll show you step by step on how to get these center points. Okay, step number 1, I'll have to label this points there and also the center point. So I can just say this is point A, B, C, and D, and then this center point is center O. Okay, so after labeling these points, obviously step number 1, I'll have to join point A with point C, light construction. So I'll start by joining those 2 points like that. Okay, from there I'll have to take my compass. So I'll put my compass at the center point right there to point A. So I'll just open my compass to point A, and then I'll have to draw an arc from point A going up to this vertical center line there like that. So now that means I'll have to extend my center line up there like that. Let me just extend even down here. Okay, just like that. So obviously I've drawn an arc from point A to this vertical center line. So that means I have a point there. So now I will take my compass again, put my compass at point C to that point up there, right? So I'll put my compass at point C to that point up there. Then I'll have to drop this point down to this line AC. Like that. So obviously, step number one, I join these 2 points, A, C, and then after that I'll have to draw an arc from point A. Obviously, I put my compass at the center point there to point A, and then draw an arc going up to this vertical center line, and then from there obviously I'll have a point there. Now I will have to put the compass on point C to that point up there and draw an arc to line AC. So that means now I have a new point there. So this can be point E. Okay, so now I have point E, right? Okay, so now our focus will be on, let me just take this. So now our focus will be on line AE. I'll just draw a line there. Okay, so our focus is on this line AE. Please ignore this part of this line, right? So our focus is on line AE, right? So now I'll have to bisect this line AE. By now, I guess you know how to bisect a line. So obviously you have to use your compass. So I'll start at point E. I'll put my compass at point E right there and open my compass to point A down there. So I'll just draw an arc up there, an arc down here, right? Then now I'll move my compass to point A, right? Because I'm trying to bisect line AE. So I'll put my compass on point A to E. Obviously I do the same thing, an arc up there and an arc down there. So obviously the arcs must intersect. So from here I have these 2 arcs, and these 2 arcs, they intersect right there. Same thing as those 2 arcs, they intersect right there. So now obviously I have these 2 points. That means now I can just draw a line across those 2 points, right? So from that point up there, I can just draw a straight line across this point here all the way to the center point, right? So obviously I have this line. That means I have a point there. So now if you can check from this lines, that means I have this line so far, right? So that line is this one, right? Okay, so because now I have this line on my drawing, it's this one. So I'll focus on this point where the line intersects the horizontal center line, and also this point there from the vertical center line, right? So my I can just label this point 1, and this point here point number 2. Okay, so now what I have to do, I'll have to construct the same line, but this line will be this side now. Okay, because now I have point 1, I'll just project this point 1 to the opposite side. So now I'm just projecting this point to this side, right? So obviously I'll just project that point to this side, right? So I have a point there, I can mark there, and also I'll open my compass to point 2 down there. So this point will be projected to this center line up there. So that means I have point number 3 there and point number 4, right? Okay, so now because I have these points, now I can just draw a line from point 2 across point 3. So I'll just draw a line going up, and then from 4 I'll do the same thing, draw a line from point 4 across point 3 like that, and then even this side I'll draw a line from point 4 across point number 1 like that. So now if you check, now I have those center lines there, the four center lines, this four center, not center line, sorry, I have this four center points. So now if you can check on my drawing, I have the four center points there. Obviously it's this four center points. That means because now I have the center points, now I can just draw the ellipse. So I'll just take my compass, start at point number 4. I'll put my compass at that center point to draw the arc on my left hand side. So I'll put my compass at point 1 to point A, and then obviously that arc must start here all the way across point A to the other side there. All right, okay, and then now I can just draw the arc up there. So for that arc up there, I'll have to put my compass at point 2. I'll put my compass at point 2. Okay, so now I can just extend that arc. The arc must cross that point there to that line. Okay, and then obviously even this side I have to draw that arc. So now I'll put my compass at point 3. Okay, then I'll just draw an arc there, and then now I'm left with this lower part of the ellipse. So now I'll put my compass at point 4, right, and open my compass to that arc there. Okay, so now I'll have to, let me just open the compass a little bit. Okay, so now I can just continue with the arc to complete the ellipse. So this is the complete ellipse. So obviously for you to draw this ellipse, you must have this 4 center points, center point 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you follow the same process. Obviously you had to obviously draw the center lines and the rectangle in light construction using the given measurements. Obviously the length is 110 and the width is 70, and then after that I had to label these points as well as the center point, and after that I had to join point A with C, right, and after that I had to draw this arc up there, and then obviously drop that point to line AC, and then obviously I found a new point there, point E, and then I had to bisect line AE, and then obviously I drew that line, right? Okay, so because I'm done with the ellipse, now I'm moving to drawing number 2. So obviously now I'll have to draw this figure. So this is question number 2, the tangential arcs. Obviously we have the including and excluding arcs plus the hexagon on our figure here. So the first thing that I'll have to do here, I'll have to draw the center lines. So I've drawn the center lines already. So obviously this center point is for this hexagon, including that arc there, and obviously this center point is for this small circle down there, including that arc down there. So before I start drawing this figure, I just want to go through this section here. So they are saying note R stands for radius. So for the including arc, that means we'll have to subtract the 2 radii, the radius for the arc with the radius of the circle that is in contact with the arc, right? Okay, for the excluding arc, obviously I'll have to add the 2 radii of the arc and the circle that is in contact with that excluding arc, right? Okay, I hope that makes sense. But obviously throughout the the video I'll explain this. You will see, you will understand as I'm drawing this figure. So okay, so obviously it's up to you, you can start anywhere. So I'll just start with this hexagon, and then I'll draw that small circle down there, right? So from this hexagon we are given AF, which is 40. So this AF stands for across flats. As you can see, this is a flat and also this is a flat. So these two flats are across to each other, right? They are opposite to each other. So we call this two flats across flats. So that means from this flat to that flat is 40 millimeters. Okay, and then for us to draw this hexagon, that means I'll have to draw a circle using this measurement there. This is our diameter. That means I'll have to start by drawing a circle. So this 40 will be our diameter. So I'll have to divide this 40 by 2. And then obviously I'll measure 20 on my compass. So just measure 20 there. So you must know that always if you are given the across flat measurement, you have to divide that by 2 and draw a circle. So I'll just put my compass there. I draw a light construction circle. Like that. Okay, from there this hexagon will be outside this circle, not inside. So why outside? It's because we are given the across flat measurement, but if we were given the measurement of the flat, that means obviously the hexagon will be inside. So you must know the difference between the across flat and the flat, right? So if we are given a measurement for the flat, obviously you measure that distance and draw a circle, and your hexagon will be inside the circle. But now because we are given the across flat measurement, that means I'll have to first draw a circle and then construct the hexagon just outside the circle. So I'll show you now how to construct the hexagon outside the circle. You just draw tangent lines around the circle. So obviously I take my 30 by 60. Let me just move this a little bit this side and then zoom in like that. Okay, so I put my compass like that. Then I draw a tangent line. Obviously I'll slide my set square to where the circle starts, and then I draw a light construction line. So this is a tangent line to the circle, and then obviously I'll just flip my set square to this side, do the same thing, and draw a line there, light construction. So obviously I'm trying to construct this hexagon, right? So now I have two vertical lines. So I'll slide my set square to where the circle starts there. Then I just draw a vertical line there. Do the same thing this side, vertical line. And then up there, I'll just put my 30 by 60 like this. Draw a line there. Flip my set square. Do the same thing. Draw a line there. So as you can see now I have my hexagon there. So now I can just draw it using solid lines. So I'll start up there. Okay, so I'm done with the hexagon, and then now I can just draw this small circle. We are given that the diameter is 16. So obviously always for a diameter we have to divide the diameter by 2. So when I divide the 16 obviously by 2, I get 8. So I'll take my compass and measure 8 millimeters. So it's 8. So measure 8 millimeters there. Then draw that small circle. just like that. So I have the circle. Okay, so now that means I'm done with the hexagon and the small circle. Now I'll have to try and draw this section, the outer section of this figure. Okay, so obviously for me to draw this arcs, I'll have to construct a circle for this arc here, and also this arc here. I'll have to draw a circle there in light construction. So for this arc here, we are given that the radius is 35. So obviously I'll measure that 35 on my compass and draw a light construction circle. So obviously I'll measure 35 there, then draw that circle in light construction like that. And then also this arc here, I'll have to draw a circle in light construction. We are given that the radius is 15, so I'll measure 15 there and draw that circle in light construction like that. Okay, so now I have the two circles. Okay, so now what I have to do is I have to try and do the constructions of these two arcs. So this arc up there is the including arc, and then this arc down here is an excluding arc. So how do I know that? For an including arc, let me just draw here. An including arc is something like that, whereby that arc is in contact with two circles that are inside, right? So this arc is including these two circles, right? So obviously this arc is called what? Including arc. Why? Because it's including the two circles. As you can see, the two circles are inside the arc, and then an excluding arc, it's the other way around, just opposite. So that arc will be something like that, right? So if you check this arc is just excluding the two circles. These two circles are outside of this arc, right? But for this one, let me just draw it like that. For this arc, the two circles are inside, right? So we call this including, and then for this one here is what? Excluding, right? So now if you check here, if you check this arc there, we have this big circle there, and we have this smaller circle somewhere there. So this arc is excluding these two circles. That means this arc is what? An excluding circle. And then this is our including arc. Okay, so it's fine. So now I'll start with this arc up there. This is the including arc, and remember from our notes up there, we were told that for the including arc, that means I'll have to subtract the two radii, the radius for the arc and the radius of the circle. So are we given the radius of the arc? We are not given the radius of the arc, but it's fine. I'll just add it right there. We can say this, the radius of that arc is, let's say it's 80, and we're not given the radius for that arc there. So I can say this arc is it's 55. Okay, it's fine. So this arc there, you can make it 80. So obviously the radius of the arc is 80, right? So that means I'll substitute that arc with 80, and then the radius of the circle. So the radius of the circle this side is 35, right? So that means I'll say obviously the radius of the arc minus the radius of the circle, right? So the radius of the arc is given, it's 80. So just write that 80 down, 80 minus the radius of the circle. Remember, we have two circles, right? This bigger one and this smaller one this side. So the arc is in contact with this bigger circle and this smaller circle down there. So I'll start with the bigger circle. So the radius of the bigger circle is 35. So 80 minus 35, the answer is 45, right? Okay, so this is our first measurement, and then for our second measurement, so now we move to this circle here. So obviously the radius is 80, so it's the radius of the arc minus the radius of the circle. Okay, so the radius of the arc is given, remember, is 80. So write down 80 there minus the radius of the circle. So the radius of the circle is given is 15. So just write there 15. So 80 minus 15 is how much? 65. So it's 55, right? Okay. So now because I have those two measurements, now I can just take my compass. I'll start with this 45. Obviously I'll have to measure 45 there, so this is 45 right there. Okay, so obviously I put my compass on the center line, not center line, the center point. Why? Because I used the circle radius. Obviously this measurement is for the bigger circle, right? So it's 45. That means I'll have to put my compass at that center point there. Then I'll just draw an arc down there, right? Okay, and then this side we have 65. That means I'll have to measure 65 there. So it's 65. So I'll put my compass on the center point, draw an arc. So where the two arcs intersect, it's our center point for that arc there. So now because I have this point, what I have to do is I have to draw a line from that point all the way to the center point there, across that point to that side of the circle. Do the same thing this side. I draw a line from this point across the center point to the other side there, right? So that means the arc will start there and it will end there, right? So this arc will start from that point all the way to that point there. So now I can just take my compass, put my compass at that point, open my compass to that point, draw the arc all the way to there. So obviously the arc must go straight to that point. So obviously I'm done with that arc up there. So now I have to try and do or draw or construct this arc down here. Remember the radius is 55. So I'll do the similar thing, but now remember this is what? An excluding arc. It's not an including arc. So that means now I'll use this formula, right? Okay, so I'll just do that this side. So obviously I must have the radius of the arc. Now I'm adding the radii, arc plus the radius of the circle, the first circle. So obviously this arc is in contact with this bigger circle, and the radius of the bigger circle is 35. So that means I'll say 55 plus 35. So what's the answer? Answer is 90. Okay, so this is our first answer. And then now I move to this circle this side. I do the same thing, a radius of the arc plus the radius of the circle. So the radius of the arc is 55 and the radius of the circle is 15. So 55 plus 15, 60, 70. So the answer is 70 there. So okay, I'll start with this one. So that means I'll have to measure 90, but now obviously I'll have to use the circle. So that means I'll put my compass at that center point there. So I measure 90 first on my compass. Okay, then I put my compass at that center point. Oh, you see now the arc is somewhere here, but it's fine. So obviously I'll draw an arc there. Sorry about that. So obviously I have an arc there, and then I have 70. That means I'll have to measure 70 there. $70. Okay, but now I'll put my compass at that center point right there, and then I draw an arc. So where the two arcs intersect, it's a point, so I have a point there. So because I have this point now, I have to draw a line from the point to the center point of that circle. Okay, do the same thing for this side. Draw a line from the center point here to that center point of the circle. So obviously where this line intersect with the circumference of the circle, it's a point. Same thing for this circle, it's a point. So that means that excluding arc will start there and it will end there. So now I can just take my compass, put my compass at that point, open my compass to that point and draw the arc. Draw the arc there, like that. Okay, so now I can just complete my figure. Obviously I have to draw this arc and this arc this side. So now because I have the two arcs, now I can just complete my figure. So I'll just put my compass at the center point there, open my compass to that point. Obviously that point must go straight to that point up there, like that. Do the same thing here, put my compass at the center point to that point there, then I just draw. My compass just moved, sorry about that. Okay, like that. So this is the complete figure. So obviously I've drawn everything. So I hope you understood this two formulas and how to construct those including and excluding arcs. So thank you for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe, like the video if it was helpful, and also share with your friends. Sure. Thank you.